Jazz's Jazz's hand is decent. Now it's really good because he has Graceful and Sinister.
Yeah, I mean, so here you could graceful turn one, or you could wait to see if your opponent duos you.
Guess he wants to wait here. I guess that works.
Yeah, I mean, his hand is good enough that he could definitely afford to wait. Like, set Merchant, set Dust could be fine. I don't know. See, personally, I like setting Dust just in case our opponent does something passive. We can end phase Dust and then tribute Merchant for Air Knight.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know
Like,
because
I can see why you don't Dust because, like, okay, if I set Dust, my opponent can Breaker it, which isn't great for me. But I feel like our opponent's much more likely to do like a passive play than a breaker play.
right.
So if it were me, just because we have Air Knight in our hand, I would set Dust. If we didn't have Air Knight in our hand, I would not set Dust.
I probably would have set Dust too, but I also would have. I would have did the first turn Graceful, just because even though like I just see that and I'd rather just have those two cards, like the extra card and then another card
Sure.
instead
So
of the Sinister.
Yeah, I mean, people normally, and I know MMF in particular, like, if they open Duo, they're usually going to play it. So by holding Graceful Sinister, you get to bait out your opponent's Duo and then
Right.
Graceful, so, like, your Sinister pluses twice, which is exactly what happens here. Like,
Right,
if our
right,
opening
right.
hand was, like, mediocre, like, we just had, like, Graceful Sinister and, like, 4 shitty cards, then sure, I'd Graceful then. But obviously there's, like, I don't know, about... Let me do the math.
Yeah, what are the
Yeah,
odds of
there's
them
about like a
opening Duo?
15% chance our opponent's going to open Duo on the first turn, a little more, like 15 to 16% chance. So, like, that's basically a 15% chance to, like, get an extra plus off your Sinister. Which is why with this particular hand, I do agree with holding the Graceful, but I would like to see a set Dust Tornado.
Okay.
And what's cool is, well, actually, yeah, I mean, so the other argument not to set Dust is that if our opponent duos us, he's more likely to hit the Graceful if we set another card. But I think, like, overall, I think set
You
Merchant, set
can't.
Dust Tornado
You can
is
dust
the
in
play.
response though, can't you? Can't you dust the Duo?
Well, you could, but then your Dust would go -1.
Right. You're just protecting your Graceful at that point.
Yeah.
And if they have something like Breaker, then it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, then it's... So, yeah, I think, like, set Merchant, set Dust, like, with that play, there's the least amount of things that can go bad for you.
Mm.
Right? Because if they do, it's not a big deal because we have Sinister. Like, okay, if they Breaker, like, they Breaker, but it's not like we just lose if we have Breaker or something.
Right.
So, yeah, me personally, like, I would rather go set Merchant, set Dust. Okay, we're not playing around Breaker, but, like, we are playing around Duo. And, like, if he Breakers, we can Graceful next turn, and then, like, we're seeing 4 new cards, +1 for our draw phase, which means, like, there's a decent chance we can just have, like, a Tsukiyomi or something and just out the Breaker that way. Or if the Merchant, like, gets us a Metamorphosis, we can just meta Sinister and take the Breaker. There's just, like, a lot of ways that we can deal with the Breaker, so I'm not, like, super worried about that.
It would suck real hard though when they Duo and they
Like,
hit
another
Charity.
thing is, if you're paying attention to stuff that MF was talking about before, he says that he does not like to Breaker turn 1, like, in general.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, I'm not saying I agree with, but it's just a fact about our opponent.
Right.
So, like, our opponent has to open Breaker and decide that he wants to use it.
Yeah, a lot of the time, like, you can, if you just know how your opponents play, then you can
So,
just,
yeah,
like, get wins off of them.
Let's continue on past this turn, because I think we've talked about this play enough.
Yeah, so he plays Tribe, attacks into Merchant.
Yeah, I just like to use next play to make things go
Yeah,
fast.
same.
Yeah.
Redoing it there, okay.
But yeah, obviously, like, getting the call is good there because we can, like, you know, Graceful discard Air Knight and call it. And, like, drawing Breaker here is good too, of course, because we can, like...
Now, would you make the Graceful play first here and then see your options?
Right, because we're gonna Graceful either way, but, like, depending on what we draw off the Graceful, it might change our play here.
Okay, this is very weird to me.
Yeah, because, like, we could Graceful, And then like if we were say we were to draw like premature off the graceful, like that would be pretty sick. So yeah, I personally like I don't like holding graceful here.
Yeah, it just seems like
Because like if we graceful now, then like we might be able to like meta sinister next turn. Whereas like if we decide to graceful next turn, we might want to meta something, but then we won't be able to unless we don't discard the sinister to our graceful.
right. I think it
You
just
know what I'm saying
limits
here?
your options. Like, I think you want to be able to see like the most options possible.
Right, like our opponent's already used his duo, so I feel like there's really no reason not to graceful there. So I think that's just a mistake.
Unless we're playing around Grave Robber, but I
I mean, I don't even. Yeah,
don't even think you play around that. Like,
yeah.
although MMF just passes back, so
Right. I mean,
we're
it's
not
not
under
gonna work
pressure
out since
now.
our opponent it just isn't doing anything. But yeah, I mean, certainly I think that that's going to be a mistake most of the time. So yeah, now he gracefuls,
It
and
doesn't
we have
set
morphing
call.
jar, which is kind of interesting, and we have dust set. Yeah, so I agree with those. I agree with this play. Just discard Air Knight, discard Sinister, pass. If our opponent sets a spell or trap, we get to end phase dust, set call.
MMF
And now, like,
passes back.
now we kind
Yeah.
of have a decision to make. Because we can go DD Warrior Lady, attack a goat. Yeah, I don't like this.
That puts pressure, but I mean, if you're waiting for a Thousand Eyes in response, it's probably better just to summon the Sinister.
Right. I would actually, to be honest, the problem with the Sinister play is our opponent can have a DD Warrior Lady or
In response,
Tsukiyomi
yeah.
cross out. And, like, that could be pretty huge since, like, we still have 3 metas in our deck, probably. Unless he's only playing 2. That we haven't used. Like, if MMF is playing Chaos, there's also a chance that he just goes, like, Graceful, discard Light in the Dark, Sorcerer of the Sinister. So I feel like one of the only ways that we can lose this game is by, like, getting our Sinister banished, and there's a decent chance that happens here.
Right.
So I think we can be risk-averse and just not summon Sinister. Like, I actually don't mind just setting DD Warrior Lady and saying go, because if our opponent metas...
we still have outs
like,
to it, and we can.
Well, if our opponent meta is, like, he can't attack us,
yeah.
we can draw outs, like...
I mean, we already have our own outs to it, so it's not a big deal. We can just sit there and, like, wait until we get something
Yeah.
good.
Plus, like, we might bait a cross out on the Warrior Lady, which would be pretty good. Then, like, we know, okay, that's one less cross out for the Sinister.
Right.
But yeah, let's see what the next play is. So
Jamie?
far, I don't sort of like the approach that Jazz has been taking, because I think, like...
He's playing very, very passively.
Well...
Very safe, I think.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, except for the Sinister play. Like, I feel like sometimes he's...
Except his opponent did nothing,
being
so...
safe, then other times he's, like, not being safe enough.
Also, Jamie, we could try to find some different matches besides just 2 Go Control mirrors. We'll see. I definitely have a bunch of replays.
We don't know MMF is playing Goat Control yet.
Oh, that too.
I mean, I think MMF has been playing some Goat Control lately, but he also likes to play, like, various
The whack
Chaos
decks,
decks
yeah.
with Goats and Metamorphosis. So, like I said, this could still be Chaos, right? Because, like, Thunder Dragon Chaos could be playing all of these cards that we've seen so far. Like,
yeah,
it
there's
plays
nothing
Tribe.
that indicates Go Control besides the Scapegoat, but...
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess now that we have the Sangan, I feel like just summoning Sangan and attacking 2 ghosts is the clear play.
Or not. If you're Jazz, I guess it's not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why we aren't just committing the Sangan here, because I mean it's one of those things like, well, what's the worst that can happen, right?
He sets Sangan.
I mean, I guess. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would just. I mean, maybe he's trying to, like, bait a cross out here, but again, even if our opponent has cross out, I'm not sure if he's going to use it, because he's going to want to, like, Tsukiyomi cross out the Sinister instead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess he thinks that, okay, I want to get him to meta my face down. I actually, yeah, I mean, that's actually not the worst play. Yeah, I want to retract my statement. I think Jazz's play is good here. Because our opponent's been doing nothing for a while, which means that there's a decent chance he has meta in his hand.
Right, which is
And if we
what he
set
played
Sangan,
around with
he can
Sinister in the
definitely
first
bait
place.
meta, because if he doesn't meta now, his goats might all be gone by the time that he does get to meta. So, yeah, I actually really like this play.
And now he finally gets to do that play where he can set call here. He doesn't set call, but...
Yeah, I would set call, because then you can book the Thousand Eyes,
right.
get your Sangan Surge,
and draw a card.
And, like, you have another Dust Tornado in case your opponent has Snatch.
He sets Jar here after drawing a Snatch deal.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's trying to set something up.
And then he sets Book and Saku.
Yeah, I mean, this could pay off, right? If
yeah.
MMF just, like, passes or something, we can definitely get him pretty good.
I think he might have a Tsukiyomi.
Well, if he has Tsukiyomi, that's fine, because then our Sangan triggers and we get to just search a Tsukiyomi of our own to deal with the Thousand Eyes.
So he books Tear when he tries to attack, because what he was going to do is he was going to take this
right.
face down.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's... And then it's like, what is your Sangan search here?
He gets Tsukiyomi.
Okay. Because you could also search, like... Yeah, I mean, Tsukiyomi's fine. It's either, like, Tsukiyomi or Magician of Faith.
Then we have second Metamorphosis on the other token for Thousand Eyes. Which takes the Jar, and then he plays Pot of Greed. Seems a little backwards, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's... I would just slam... I mean... Yeah, I mean, I just would have played Pot of Greed at the start.
Yeah, it's not like those two cards are not going to be the same two cards that you're going to draw, you know?
Yeah, there's not really, like, a great reason to do that.
Jazz draws a duo here.
I mean, MMF setting a monster definitely puts some pressure on Jazzo, because now you have 2,000 Eyes and a set monster that you have to deal with. But, like, obviously you could just snatch the 1,000 Eyes and, like, Tsukiyomi it and just do a bunch of silly stuff.
Looks like that's what he's going to do.
Okay, yeah, I mean, keep in mind for people in the chat, there's a little lag on my side.
Okay.
So if I'm saying something after it's already happened, that means I just haven't seen it yet on my side.
I'm trying to go slow for you, so... and
yeah,
I have the stream up as well.
You don't have to go slow. Just, if there's nothing, like, interesting to say, then just hit next play.
Okay, he's attacking the face downs, looks like. Well, he takes the
attack the 1,000 Eyes, and then you main phase 2.
It was his own Sangan.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good spot to be in for Jazz here. Because and it's a Sangan. Oh well, it sucks to be us. But yeah, I mean we get to duo our opponent's 5-card hands. I mean, I thought we were gonna get the old 666 there. Illuminati confirmed.
If it was me, that's what would have happened.
See, I mean, unfortunately, the duo discarded an opponent's Sinister, so I guess we're not, like, nearly as far ahead as we could be. I don't know. I feel like this could have been a very different game if we'd just gone aggressive with Air Knight Call earlier.
Yeah, same.
I feel like that's, like, can be pretty game-breaking in Goat Mirrors.
I don't know. Jazz I feel like he was playing around meta the whole time, though, and it seems like it's working out for him regardless, because...
Yeah.
Like, what would have happened maybe if he would have... I mean, but he had to book a moon eventually at one point, so... I don't know. It seems like it could have just been over.
Yeah, so... Obviously here we can, like... I mean, here we probably just have to Tsukiyomi the 1,000 Eyes. The other option would be, like, set Faith, say go.
I think that's what he's doing, set Faith, say go.
Yeah, but our opponent has East Torrential, right?
No, they haven't.
So, like... We can get really blown out if we like Tsukiyomi the Thousand Eyes next turn and MMF Torrentials. That's the only reason why
And then he set call. He
I'm
set call on
not
top
like,
of it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I guess, like, if our opponent has Torrential, he might just summon Sinister, activate Torrential. But he also just might not, so...
Just draws, passes, backs to Jazz.
Okay, so I hope Jazz is just gonna pot a greed here.
That's good. There's Torrential for the Tsukiyomi that comes down. That's pretty good.
Yeah, see, if we just summon the Tsukiyomi last turn, we don't lose our faith. Yeah, that's... Yeah, I don't feel like we needed to take that risk. Because now
Here comes a big whale.
essentially we have 6 cards to our opponent's 6, right? Because our opponent has,
Right.
5+1 set, and then we have Sinister. And then if Abyss Soldier, yeah, I mean, he can Abyss Soldier, pitch Sinister, bounce one of our back rows. Regardless of which one he bounces, it's actually pretty good for him.
He just ran it into Sakuretsu armor, but, you live and you learn.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. The only reason to save the pitch would be if Jazz activates Scapegoat, then you can main phase 2 bounce a goat.
Yeah. I think it was just a miss.
So yeah, I mean, here... Our opponent hasn't used any crossouts yet, and we're just setting Sinister. Yeah, I don't like this either.
It's a little weird.
I wouldn't mind setting DD Warrior Lady, though.
I would have probably just summoned DD Warrior Lady and attacked.
If our opponent's crossout, if our opponent activates crossout, we obviously would much rather him hit the DD Warrior Lady than our Sinister, especially given that we have a meta in our hands.
I guess he's thinking that he can, at the very least, call the Haunted back a level 1 if he needs to, and then use the meta. I mean, he does have BLS, so he can do something like a BLS.
I don't agree with that.
I mean, he could BLS, like, banish something, use meta, bring back BLS.
Yeah, I mean, we could. But our opponent's at 7,000. I mean, he's not going to be dead they're not going to be dead anytime soon.
Yeah. Oh.
Because here's the thing. I assume that Jazz is playing, like, the list of this deck that plays, like, 2 Scapegoats, 3 meta, right? So, like, in that kind of list, if your Sinister gets banished, it really makes, like, your strategy, like, a lot more fragile, because you're kind of relying on the Sinister for the metas. But anyways, let's continue.
Just thinking of the math here. 26 and 15 is 41, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then he has game in his hand. He just needs a clear shot at it.
Yeah. But I mean, we don't have
that. Yeah, I mean, he didn't have it, so he wasn't going to do it. But
you're right. Like, if our opponent just, like, sets a monster and passes or something, he's dead. Why are we not torrentialing?
He dust tornadoed it.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I thought he
Yeah.
dust tornadoed the call for some reason. Okay. See, yeah, like, because here's the thing. If the BLS banished the Warrior Lady instead of the Sinister, we have the option to just go Sinister meta.
Mm-hmm. And
save
then
our BLS. I mean, here we can just DD Warrior Lady attack it. That's not bad either.
No.
I mean, as played, I like DD Warrior Lady attack. Because, like, if our opponent Saku's it or something, we can just call back the Warrior Lady and just still get the hit through. Yeah, I mean, this is risky because our opponent hasn't used Snatch yet. And even if he just goes like meta Thousand Eyes, take your BLS. On one hand, okay, we have Tsukiyomi to kill the Thousand Eyes, but we're also taking 3,000 damage.
And we know he has Tsukiyomi anyone. He still doesn't use the knock, so he could just Tsukiyomi the BLS and
Yeah,
then knock it.
yeah. I mean, I would much prefer to just DD Warrior Lady the BLS here and just save our BLS for
Yeah,
either
the
game or
1,000
like
damage isn't a big deal.
yeah. Because like what's sick too is like if we go DD Warrior Lady attack the BLS.
Oh
And our
well.
opponent lets it go through, we can be pretty darn sure that our opponent doesn't have a battle trap.
Well, MMF just kills themselves, unfortunately.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying. Because we have call set.
Yeah, that stinks.
Yeah, that's...
Because
I mean,
that's like that's a fine play
yeah,
to
like
do.
that just happened to randomly work out really well for Jazz
Yeah.
because our opponent just had exactly ring. But I still don't like. He did some like strange plays. Like they weren't like bad. Like Jazz didn't like try to like pump the game away or anything. But I feel like we had some missed opportunities.
Right, I do
And then we
too.
also like took some risks that we didn't need to take. Like I said, it was weird. It was like sometimes I feel like he was being too like risky, and then other times I feel like he was being too risk averse. It wasn't like
Yeah.
Usually people are on like one side of the spectrum or the other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
It's like maybe he was seeing something.
When I play Noelle, I feel like she often takes too many risks, right? Like I don't see her like she'll like have like multiple monsters like ram into Mirror Force when she doesn't need to and stuff.
Uh-huh. See, I don't know. I haven't played her
And then
yet.
there's some people, I mean, to some extent, even including myself, that like are just too risk averse. Like we have a decent chance to go for game, but like we don't take it because like I want to like play around this like one card that they have like a 5% chance to have. But anyways, let's see the plays here.
Yeah, next game.
Obviously, MMF is going first. Yeah, duo discarding Faith is fine. And I agree with discarding the Dust Tornado. Like, Cross that's really good, Merchant's really good, and Snatch is really good. They're just all really good cards.
I think that's the best one to get rid of.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward duo decision. Because obviously we want to be able to cross out the monster and set our monster, so we have to keep crossed out Merchant. And then we also have to keep Snatch Steal because it's Snatch Steal.
Right. I actually agree with not duoing here. Just because you're on low cards too. So if your opponent goes down more, you can duo again.
The only reason that I agree with not duoing is because we cross out of the set Sengen, which means that there's a decent chance that our opponent has Sinister in his hand, because if he didn't have Sinister in his hand, he would want to summon the Sengen in attack mode so that it couldn't get crossed out and he could search Sinister.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I always just summon Sengen though, regardless.
Well, if you don't, like, if there's not something that you really need to search, you can set Sengen and then like bait cross out.
Right.
But like, if our opponent, say for example, had like no Sinister and like, I don't know, double meta in his hand or something, you would obviously want to summon the Sengen so that it could get Sinister.
Exactly.
Can we see MMF's next play here?
Yeah, they just T-set and pass. And then that's where the duo gets stronger.
We're gonna flip Merchant here, of course. Oh, we're gonna duo first and then flip Merchant?
Yeah, I think the sequencing's out of order on Jazz on some stuff here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't...
It's minimal, but it could make a difference. Like, because I still think you want to see, like, the next card first just to decide what you're going to do. Like, because maybe it changes if you... I mean, I don't think that, like, not duoing it would be correct there. Like, I think duoing is correct still.
We don't have a premature target in the grave, right? Or do we?
We have a Faith, but that's not a good target.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. See, I mean, I guess we're just going to set Trunchel and pass. I don't see a reason to attack with the Merchant.
Flip your Merchant.
Yeah, I don't. This is kind of a case of I don't see what the attack is going to accomplish. Because there's literally nothing in the format with less than 200 defense. I feel like we're just taking 500 for no reason. Because say our opponent like end phase dusts the Torrential or something, and then Tsukiyomi's the Merchant, then he gets to trigger Merchant twice over like this sort of one full turn. Whereas if we don't...
Bless you. Bless you again.
Oh, I was gonna say if we don't attack, we don't really have that issue.
Right.
And then, did the Merchant add a book? Is that what happened?
Merchant added book and then MMF T set.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, I was just making sure I remembered what he added. I mean, I guess if we draw Tsukiyomi off this pot of greed, we can snatch our opponent's... Well, we can't because our opponent has book. Never mind.
We draw a Morphing Jar.
Yeah, I mean, we could set Morphing Jar set 3, but then our play is really transparent.
Yeah. That's what happens.
He's gonna do? I guess he's just gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna tell my opponent I have Morphing Jar, and say...
Wow! He just decided, okay, maybe my opponent has their own Morphing Jar.
Oh, wow. That's insane.
That's a pretty hard read.
I don't feel like there's any way we could have really known it was Morphing Jar, though. Yeah, I mean, that just happened to work out well for him. And it's so weird because we have, like, our jar set here, which our opponent could trigger, and our opponent could book his Morphing Jar. This is, like, just such a weird spot. Because, like, there could potentially be 3 Morphing Jars that resolve during this game.
Someone's gonna deck out.
This is just such a bizarre game. But, yeah, I mean, as played, I think, obviously, you just have to pass. The only thing we could do different... We could
you
set
could try to
still,
set heavy,
I don't
and
see a reason to do
yeah,
that.
because if you get heavy, then it's like, oh no.
Right. Because obviously here, MMF can just... Well...
He summoned Tsukiyomi
Tsukiyomi
first.
the Merchant, not the Morphing Jar? That's strange.
But he has the book already, right? So they could have just summoned... Like, they could have just booked his own, Morphing Jar first, and then did something.
Jazz has Torrential set, right?
Yeah.
So Jazz can just Torrential here.
I don't think...
Which I actually kind of like. I actually like Torrentialing here.
I like Torrentialing here, too. I don't think they were thinking about...
Let this Morphing Jar, like, go...
What's
like,
called?
You know, MMF can just set, like, 5 cards in Morphing Jar us, and it discards our Heavy Storm. So I feel like we actually just have to Torrential here.
They also forgot to get back Sinister, too, which is annoying.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But that probably won't be... It probably won't matter for this particular turn. But you're right. But yeah, I feel like we just have to... Yeah... I mean, it sucks, but like it's just the only good option.
MMF having pot agree does make the decision to not Tsukiyomi the jar there a little more. Like it makes more sense because you're gonna get a new card. I guess you could have set pot first and then flipped it, see what you got, then potted.
Well, yeah, like. Yeah, you Tsukiyomi the jar, and then if your opponent lets you, then you set pot, and then, like, flip the jar.
Right, right.
This is interesting. So here we can press for damage with Sengen or set Faith. Our opponent hasn't used Cross out yet. I kind of like summoning Sengen better, because it lets us get in for 1,000. If the Sengen dies, we get to search Sinister. And if our opponent doesn't deal with the Sangan, we get to attribute it for Air Knight.
We have something to protect Sangan, too.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously that would be true regardless of which monster we played this turn.
Right. They set Sangan here.
Yeah, I would much rather summon it.
Yeah, me too.
And well, I mean, life points matter in this format far more than people think they do.
Oh,
and I'm not
totally
really happy
agree.
to get our Sengen crossed out, because again, we kind of wanted the Sengen to search Sinister. So yeah, I'm just not very happy to see this cross out. And of course, yeah, now we drew meta, right? Like, imagine if we just had Sinister with this hand, how sick it would be.
Way sicker.
I mean, we might win anyway, just because there is a decent chance our opponent just won't be able to deal with the Faith. Because like Goat Control doesn't have like a ton of things that it can do here to out the Faith.
MMF going for Thousand Eyes is what the play is. Resolves, okay.
Hold on, just continue without me here for a sec.
Okay, no problem.
I have to do something.
Okay, so gets the Faith. Jazz could go in with Tsukiyomi here. Jazz could also finally pop the Graceful. He could do a play where he goes... I'm trying to think here. I guess Torrentialing's not very... or Heavy Storming here is not very good. He has a level 1 that he could get back. I don't think that's very good, though. You need something to deal with a Thousand Eyes Restrict. Okay, so he uses Graceful, draws into Sinister, BLS, and Dust Tornado. So that's very, very good because he has the Heavy Storm already. So he could do a play like... man, having Premature Set makes this awkward because he could do some like crazy play with BLS, but I guess it's not going to be possible. Tanks a little bit. Obviously has to discard the Sinister. I think Dust Tornado might be the best one to discard because he's going to use like... maybe not. Yeah, never mind. I was right. I was wrong. It should have been Air Knight. I don't know how I feel about summoning BLS into a back row of 3 cards. We know one of them is at least Book of Moon. I mean, actually, I guess that's okay because what he's banking on using it without having to use the Heavy Storm, right? Like he's trying to bait out what these other 2 cards are because we know at the very least that this is Book of Moon. Book of Moon doesn't really matter versus BLS because we're just going to be banishing this card. So we'll see. Or he decides not to do it. That's weird. Oh, he doesn't have a Dark in his graveyard, so he can't actually do it. Oops. That's funny. Maybe if he looked at his graveyard, he would have known that he had to discard a Tsukiyomi instead. Well, that's awkward. So that was a misplay, obviously. I mean, he just forgot that he didn't have a Dark, and I forgot that he didn't have a Dark. I could have checked it. And yeah, Jazz just went off with that play there and just showed the BLS. So now that the information's there that MF knows that they have a BLS, they're going to always be playing around that BLS. I mean, you're probably trying to play around BLS as the best you can anyway, but now that you know it's an immediate threat, it does influence the game a little bit. So picking up another Metamorph for Jazz. Yeah, I think now's the play that this makes the most sense. I think you could have tried to do this last turn too, where you could have discarded like Tsukiyomi and what's it called? And Air Knight. So you had the Dark and the Light there, and then you could have tried this play last turn because that would have baited this card at least. Let me think here. If you did that... Still have the Heavy Storm, though. I like not booking here because it doesn't really accomplish anything. BLS of his own from MMF. And there's the banish there. So now it's just a game of keeping Jazz off Dark. And now Jazz knows he can't meta again here unless he does a play where he sets the unless he heavy storms first. But then MMF could just respond with Book of Moon to book his BLS to play around a potential what's it called play around potential what's the word I'm looking for Thousand Eyes Restrict. Another play that Jazz could do is he could set the Tsukiyomi after he heavy storms. Obviously, set the Tsukiyomi, use meta on the guy on the Tsukiyomi, and then have a Darkfire Dragon, and then summon BLS. That's
Hey,
an option.
Matthews.
Hey.
I'm back.
Okay.
Looks like I've come to a pretty interesting game state.
Yeah. So Jazz misplayed and thought he could summon BLS, but he didn't have a dark in his graveyard. So it came to a point where MMF let Thousand Eyes resolve and take his own Thousand Eyes, and then in response, BLS came down and banished it. So now Jazz drew, got back Sinister, and is deciding on a play.
What are Jazz's two face downs?
Sacret's Armor and Premature Burial. So it's a little awkward because he could use the Heavy Storm, but that gets rid of the Premature. And what most likely would happen is that Book of Moon's going to get chained on the Black Luster, and then maybe a Scapegoat. Because MMF wasn't committing any more monsters to the board.
Yeah, I mean, one option would be to just say, I don't know, just like set a couple of backers and say go, and then just Sakuretsu the BLS.
Mm-hmm.
The other option is obviously Sinister meta. It's a pretty obvious one. But if MMF books the Thousand Eyes and then banishes it with BLS, then like you don't have a dark for your BLS.
That's why I was thinking you could do some sort of weird play where you Heavy Storm and try to force them to book their own BLS, and then use set Tsukiyomi, use Metamorph for the Darkfire Dragon, and then be able to summon your own BLS.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good play if MMF doesn't chain goats to heavy.
Right. That's the only way that I can see it being a pretty good play.
Yeah, then he takes 45, goes to 25.
Jazz is gonna
I don't know. Let's just see
Premature.
what Jazz does. Oh, I guess he has a Premature target. That's actually good. Does he have like DD Warrior Lady or something?
Oh, I see.
You can Tsukiyomi Faith and then attack BLS.
Well, what Jazz wants to do
Or
is
you
he
can-
wants to Heavy Storm because he wants to get the maximum value
Yeah.
out of Premature.
Yeah, this is a good play.
I just forgot that was something you could do. It's sort of just a variation of my play, but
Yeah.
I think he's deciding on whether or not they want to meta the Magician of Faith or the Tsukiyomi. I think you just meta the Tsukiyomi and get this BLS away.
Yeah. Has either player used Ring yet?
No.
Yes, I like just putting our opponent at 25 here if no one's used Ring yet. Like, we have Dust Tornado for Snatch Steal, and, like, it gives him two things that he has to deal with. He has to deal with our BLS, and he has to deal with our Magician of Faith.
Right.
And
Much
the
better
only
than
way
my
to really
play.
do that is Snatch Steal, but we have Dust Tornado, so...
I mean, MMF could have Heavy Storm of their own.
Right, yeah, I mean, he could have, like, or they could have, like Break or Snatch. See, I disagree with this banish. I would just rather attack for 3,000 war damage.
I guess they just want to play around Premature, but
Yeah,
I think the attack's
understand why
better.
he did it, but we have Dust Tornado. Like, we don't know that our opponent has Premature, right? He didn't, like, or MMF didn't merch it. For...
No, I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think we know.
Yeah, then... See, I feel like this could be a very different game if MMF had 3,000 less life points.
Right.
Because the problem now is that we're like, I mean, we're like kind of evenish on cards, but we're behind on life. Whereas if MF is at 25, like all we would have to do is just draw a ring, and like the game would be over. Which we only have 15 cards left in our deck, so like,
Very possible to do.
yeah, it's like we're actually gonna see ring pretty soon.
Especially if MMF is going to let this like Magician of Faith get us more cards. Which I don't agree with.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Unless the plan at this point is to deck out.
No, this game isn't gonna end in deck out.
I don't think so either. I wouldn't have made that play.
It's not like morphing jars have already been used, right?
Right. Yeah, they have.
Yeah, that graceful seems fine.
Yeah, you break your one of the sets so that they summon and just try to attack, and then you can blow away with MSC. MF Goat locks themselves and then doesn't attack. And then there's the Ring of Destruction that we were looking for, so...
Yeah, it's like, I mean, obviously we'd still have to worry about Bookamoon, but yeah, even if it's 25, then, you know, we can just kill him. And I mean, yeah, I mean.
But
now,
if they book a moon, we can call our guy
happens.
back, right? We can call Blackluster Soldier back, and then just have our Blackluster Soldier.
Yeah, I mean we can, but then, like, if we ring the Thousand Eyes, call our BOS back, well, we still have to clear our opponent's goats.
Yeah, that's it.
We're at 800, so we are at risk of like dying to a lot of different stuff.
If they book the guy, then no, but we would be at 800.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what we do here. I mean, I guess we're setting ring, but... Yeah, I mean...
I guess MMF is making this now to try to be like, okay, I got 10 turns.
Yeah, I mean, Jazz could definitely win, but, like, now he kind of has a lot of stuff to get through. Because MF is, like, you know, 4 back rows, 4 cards in hand. Got a wall of goats.
A Tsukiyomi helps here.
Has Jazz used Tribe yet?
No.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's some way we can, like, set up a kill with Tribe. Although, I mean, I guess now he can't discard Sinister to it. And, I mean, now we have Tsukiyomi. Has MMF used Mirror Force?
Yes, they have. Or at least it got Heavy Storm, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, Mirror Force and Torrential, that's good for us. That definitely, like, makes our decisions a lot easier. I'm not sure if I agree with not attacking the goat, since we have less cards in our deck than our opponent.
I think that Jazz just really wanted to keep the Tsukiyomi, just knowing how powerful it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. I guess there's an argument for that. Although, realistically, I'm not sure if we'll be able to Tsukiyomi loop anything this game.
I don't like the attack from MMF because if they were so gung ho on the deck out plan, they could have just kept that up there. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna get like summon Tsukiyomi and tried to attack anyway. But then if we have the actual like response or something, maybe they just I don't know. See, because I'm looking at Jazz's perspective and I see the knock in the hand, so I'm like maybe MMF was trying to play around the knock, and I was like, that's not playing around the knock though.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if. Yeah. I mean. Yeah, the deck out plan isn't really too bad for MMF. I mean, the problem is that Jazz still has Tribe though, so.
Yeah.
And like rings still haven't been used, so like there is a decent chance that MMF can win by battle damage / ring of destruction damage.
Jazz has his own whale.
Oh, you call it the whale?
Yeah.
that's I didn't know that Jazz was on this list. So that's like another reason why we just don't let our Sinister get crossed out.
Right. Right.
Because that was like a thing in the last game and this one where Jazz was just like committing his Sinister to the field all the time.
Yeah, it's so important when you're playing Abyss Soldier to just make sure you always have access to your Sinister.
So yeah, it's like now I'm not even sure what we do. I actually like probably I'm not even sure if I'd cross out now because we have Tsukiyomi in our hand, which means that cross out can just kill anything.
Yeah.
But I guess MF hadn't used any faith, so yeah, that makes it fine.
Jamie asked, how viable is stall mill and goat format?
Not very.
Not very.
I mean, Empty Jar is viable in goat format. That's not exactly what I'd call stall mill. See, and
game's good at deck out,
that, like,
but it's...
You know, if we'd had the Tsukiyomi attack a goat token last turn, one of two things would have either happened. Either MF would just have one less goat token now, which is good, or the Tsukiyomi would have baited Saku, and then the Abyss Soldier can't get Saku, which is also good. You know what I'm saying? So, I feel like Jazz should have just attacked a token last turn to Tsukiyomi.
Right.
Like, in general, I think, from what I've seen from both these games, I think one of Jazz's flaws is that he doesn't care about life points enough. Whereas that can, like, really shape how, like, a game plays out.
I agree with you. Set his goats here. So he's got all chainables, but it's not like we're in risk of a heavy storm.
How much goats really help because, like, we're gonna deck out first, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Has MMF used Potter gracefully yet? Because if he hasn't, then... Or if they haven't...
They
then,
have used Pot and Graceful. They've used Trinity.
Oh, okay.
Now here's a
Then,
Snatch
yeah.
Steal for the Soldier.
Yeah, I mean...
And even that's pretty dangerous, ringing your own
sucks.
guy, because now you're down to 1,000, right? No. Yeah. Wait. Math?
Yeah, I mean,
2,000.
2,000. And again, it's like if MMF had 2,500 less, like, totally different game, right?
Right.
Or, sorry, if he had 3,000 less,
Right.
totally different game. And yeah, like, Call gets dusted. Yeah, I feel like, how do we win now? Right? Because, like, our only win con left in our deck is, like, Tribe Infecting Virus. But, like, MMF has 3 back rows and too many life points.
Speak of the tribe.
So yeah, it's like, I'm not sure what the plan is now. Like, we can use Tribe, we can go Tribe, effect, attack, but then MF probably just Saku's it or something.
Jazz in the tank.
Yeah, like, I'm just really not sure how Jazz can win now. Let's just see what he does.
There's Sack.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I mean, that's kind of exactly what I thought would happen. And I'm not sure what's left in Jazz's deck now. I think Jazz maybe has what, like maybe still like an Air Knight in his deck, perhaps.
Yeah, but there's nothing. There's no way to like really summon it. He
Right,
lets
that's
this
what I'm
go
saying.
through. I guess he doesn't have
Yeah,
recursion.
I would have Mirror Forced.
Yeah,
Not because Mirror Force is great, but because like, what else are you gonna
if he
do?
has ring down, then the game's just over.
Yeah. Has Jazz used 2 books already? I think maybe just one. Maybe he has like a bunch, like 2 metas still left in his deck.
The game's just over.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like Jazz could have prioritized life points more, and it would have been like if he just did
Right,
that 3,000 damage with the BLS, totally different game, totally different
right.
game.
Because then a lot of the stuff
Like,
that MMF was trying to do,
right,
they
because
wouldn't have
like,
been able to do.
right, like what people don't realize is that like while GOAT format, like yes, it's about card advantage. Like having more life points allows you to do more things that you wouldn't be able to do if you didn't have life points. So like life points in a way is its own card advantage,
Right.
which is that's some really deep stuff
That's
right
some
there.
that's
But
some
it's
deep level
true.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope we're summoning Sengen turn 1.
No, you would think.
Yeah, I just want to search Sinister as soon as possible.
Now he's 7 second, so clear 1,000.
I mean, I guess banishing Abyss Soldier, DD Warrior Lady is kind of nice.
Right now, he premature loops isn't as good,
Right.
or isn't as, and it isn't online sooner. Um, Breaker comes down. Would you have set Scapegoat here instead? I don't think so. I think I would have set Zaku.
Well, I'm not sure what we're worried about. You know what I mean? Like, what are we trying to Saku other than our opponent's DD Warrior Lady? Right? That's like the only card we want to Saku, right?
Right. Like, I think we still set it just because, and then if they summon something else, and like try to attack the Sangan, then we let it we just let it resolve. Like we don't Saku the thing, but
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess now, you know, we can like Abyss Soldier the back row and attack over Breaker.
I just decided to heavy instead.
Yeah, I don't really think we need to burn our heavy yet. Like, okay, if we Abyss Soldier the back row, our opponent can chain Book of Moon, but it's not like we lose if that happens. I mean, that works too, I guess, for you, like, bounce back your own Abyss Soldier. I mean, I guess, like, that play's kind of like... It's like, if you don't heavy now, do you think you'll be able to get more value out of it? And I think the answer is yes. Like, it's not like MF is, like, one of the kinds of people who is, like, always trying to play around heavy.
Drawing premature here is great.
But yeah, I mean, this is kind of cool how this happens to be working out, because we just get to keep bouncing back our Abyss Soldier.
I think I would have graceful first.
Oh, yeah, we have Sangan. Yeah, this is pretty sick. Yeah, I mean, now we're just kind of like abusing the shit out of Abyss Soldier. And like attacking for 28, like I said, that's pretty big. Like life points really matter.
But I think you're supposed to graceful here first because then you can premature Abyss Soldier and then use the Serpent to get back
Well, then we have
Sangan.
to discard not Sinister to our Graceful. I actually like Jazz's play.
I think I'm just looking and trying to push in more damage than needs to be done at this moment. I don't think MMF was in a good spot ever. Did Jazz not search for Sangan? Did he just miss off a Sangan?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there.
Oh. I think he was just looking still, and then... Because, like, there's no way he sighted out all of his Sangan targets. Huh, okay. So Jazz just attacks, lets it go, like, MMF lets it go through, and then he Abyss Soldiers itself, and then passes. I think I would have set Faith still. Because... Yeah, it probably is not gonna, like, it's gonna get, like, knocked or whatever. But realistically, like, I don't see how MMF is coming back within those 4 cards. I think, like, using your Sinister to bounce back Abyss Soldier is fine. But if you're able to resolve Faith and get, like, Heavy Storm there, then that just seems pretty powerful to me.
So yeah, so what did Jazz do?
So Jazz he drew for the turn, he drew knock, he just attacked with Abyss Soldier and then bounced his Abyss Soldier back with Sinister and then passed. Like, he didn't set Faith.
Huh. Yeah, that is kind of strange.
Because if he at least sets Faith here, that he has a chance to resolve it and get back Heavy Storm, and he's not taking now he's not taking 19 to the face.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you there. There's not really, like, a reason to not set Faith.
Yeah. He even says in the chat, like, I might have punted that.
Yeah, I think that was just a brain fart. Like, somehow I think he thought he'd normal summoned already.
Maybe.
Right? I think that's probably what happens. So here, I mean, we can go Sinister meta, or we can just go Abyss Soldier, discard Sinister, bounce Air Knight.
But when you use Charity here and draw, like, Breaker, Snatch...
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a little...
Yeah, that works too, I suppose.
A little good.
Because obviously, depending on what we draw off Charity, like, we don't even have to discard our Sinister, right? Like, we just discard, like,
Abyss.
2 random cards,
yeah.
and then just, like, meta our Sinister or something.
And that's the game. Because holding that Charity forever worked out for Jazz. But still had all these with the premature, like, with all those plays.
Yeah, like,
Still pretty good.
Like there, when you have Abyss Soldier Sinister going, I think holding Graceful's fine, right?
Right,
you just
right.
Feel like you really need it. So yeah, I mean, that game kind of does show that. I mean, as some people know, obviously Abyss Soldier can be pretty strong.
It was interesting. I think that they both could have played a little bit better. But that's
Well,
why
I mean,
we
we didn't really get to see MMF side.
right,
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna like say, oh, I can't see your cards, but like, oh, you played terrible, right? Like,
right.
when I saw there wasn't like anything obvious that MMF did that was really bad.
I get a little biased because I'm looking at the thing and I'm like, oh, maybe we could have did that because he had this thing. Because I'm looking at Jazz's hand and I'm like, why don't you do this play? he could lose to this.